Hello YouTube, my name is Dan and you are watching Computerage. So a few years back I got my hands on this laptop. It is a Dell Studio 1735. It is a 17-inch laptop. It is pretty ginormous. You guys probably can't really see a perspective. Here's my bed. Let's see if that helps. No, that doesn't really help. Whatever. Anyway, it's a pretty large laptop. It's definitely had its fair amount of usage over the years that we've owned it anyway. I don't know about previous owners, because this was kind of just given to me by my dad when he had a business which was involved with fixing computers, so I don't actually know any history on this. But yeah, I had loads of issues with this thing when I first got it. It almost seemed irreparable. Actually, I didn't really know what to do. The CMOS battery was dead, but that was an easy fix. The backlight on the screen kept dying. Even when I replaced the inverter, it was still really faulty. And not to mention about the things kind of falling to pieces. You can see here, it's been like that ever since I've had it. Wait, let's point the camera there. As you see there, so that's always been an issue. So I kind of just put it under my bed for a couple of months and left it doing nothing. And then I turned it on in a couple of months, and all of a sudden it works perfectly, and it has done ever since. So I'm not quite sure why. I'm totally bewildered by that, but I'm not going to complain. So that was way back when I lived in the UK. When we moved to the US, I took this thing with us. I should say, as a family, and my younger brother adopted this laptop as his machine to play his games on. And when he got an actual gaming computer, it went to my mum. So my mum used it just to, check emails, really light usage stuff. And recently, my mum got a new laptop entirely for Christmas, Christmas 2017. So it has now been, I guess you could say, it's been retired from service. First off, I'm going to show you around the laptop, the exterior. I'm going to be as quick as I can here. So to start off with, we got an SD card slot. This thing, express card, I think that is. I think this might be Firewire. I don't really remember my ports very well. We got a USB 2. That looks like an Ethernet, 2 more USBs, HDMI, a VGA port. This is a wireless switch, and that might be a Bluetooth switch. I'm not 100% sure. Never have been. I've never needed to use it. On the back, there is very little. Just this bad boy right here, the vent, and of course the battery. On this side you have a power cord inlet, the power inlet. The power on button is there. 2 more USBs, the CD drive. I'm not pointing the camera very well, sorry about that. To my surprise, there's actually 2 what do you call them, headphone jacks, and just 1 microphone jack. I'm not quite sure why there's 2 of them, but there is. So yeah, whatever. There is absolutely nothing on the front. And down here, yeah, just the typical bottom of a laptop. A few vents. Battery pops out like so, very easily. Oh yeah, this thing came with Vista, but Vista's shit. So of course, never really used it with Vista. The thing has Windows 10 on it right now. It also, I should give you the specs. So it has a T8300 Core 2 Duo by Intel processor, 2.4 GHz I think it is. 2 cores, no hyperthreading. It has 4 gigs of memory, DDR2. I can't tell you what speed though. Probably 800 MHz, but don't quote me on that. It has a 500 gig hard drive. I can probably show you the specs actually, if it has battery in it. Yes, it does. Okay, so as you can see, this kind of large keyboard really gives it away. It has a 17-inch. Is it going to work? It's doing this. I hate it when it does this. Older Dell laptops seem to do this. They like get stuck. There it is. Right. So now I can show you the exact specs. So there's the CPU. Yep, Core 2 Duo, 2.4 GHz, 4 gigs of DDR2, 667 memory, a 500 gig Seagate hard drive, which I applied myself, installed myself. I should say it's actually a pretty good hard drive. I'm not gonna lie. It's never failed over the couple of years that it's been in this thing. And yeah, there's the graphics card, ATI Radeon 3650. Again, also a very decent card. Only 256 megs of RAM, but it does the job for Minecraft. That's the only game I can actually remember testing a couple of years back when I actually got a hold of this thing. Minecraft ran beautifully. Not that Minecraft's a heavy game, but still. It's got a 1440 by 900 screen. The rest you can see. Oh shit, that's not very much battery. I should probably turn this thing off.
Right, on to the testing. So to begin with, I tested Passmark, and then later on I tested Cinebench. I wanted to do some conventional benchmarks before getting into the gaming, just to set like a baseline benchmark. And yeah, this is the 2D graphics running. It is sped up. It wasn't actually this fast. If it was this fast, that would be amazing. So it's about to go into the 3D graphics, and yeah, it did fine here as well, which is good. And the final score was 724, so that's not bad. Next was Cinebench. Now, I somehow forgot to take a picture of the final score, but it was 119, and for the CPU, that is, and the graphics test failed. Moving on to the gaming benchmarks, I started off with CSGO, and we got an average of 34 FPS. Now, it might look like I'm getting kills here, but it really wasn't a playable FPS at all. There was a lot of mouse lag. It was just not fun to play at all. So I tried dropping the resolution down to 720 by 480, and we got an average of 47 FPS, which is definitely more playable, but the mouse lag was still there, so it really wasn't easy to actually play. It was pretty frustrating. Team Fortress 2 was next, an absolute classic. Now, this game actually ran a lot better than Counter-Strike. I'm not really sure why. I guess the graphics are a bit more basic, but I mean, you know, they're the same make and everything, and it's the same type of game, but we got 52 FPS on native resolution. So it was pretty impressive, I'm going to be honest. There was a little bit of mouse lag, but it was generally a lot easier to play than Counter-Strike was. Minecraft was the third game I tested, and in the test I got about 50 frames a second on average, which is quite playable for Minecraft. However, I will say there were quite a few lag spikes throughout that time, especially when chunks were loading. As you can see in this clip here, this was before I started the benchmark. I was just letting all the initial chunks load. It was pretty slow in most cases then, which got a little annoying, but generally it was playable.
There it is. Whew. Bloody hell. Well, goodbye.
City Skylines crashed first time I tried to test it. I think that's because it ran out of memory. That's what it looked like when I was looking at Task Manager. That was on native resolution. Next, I tried it in 480p, and we got an average of 20 FPS, which sounds awful, yes, and in CSGO it would be. However, City Skylines can be played in 20 FPS. Like, it's a game that doesn't require massive frame rates to be able to play quite easily. So yeah, it was playable, but it was only playable, like just playable. It was not like particularly fun because the graphics looked awful, and of course higher frame rates would be desired. However, that does not eliminate the fact that it was playable. Oh, and in case you wondered, the CPU reached the high 70s in degrees Celsius, probably about 77 or 78 during my testing, and the GPU, the graphics card, it reached about 65 if I remember correctly. It was actually a lot cooler than you'd expect, because laptop graphics cards love to overheat, but this one doesn't, so kudos to Dell in this design. So, can you game on a 10-year-old Dell Studio? Yes, you can. Just about. Minecraft and TF2 definitely worked perfectly. City Skylines struggled, however it was playable, and CSGO, I mean, it had relatively decent frames in 480p, but they aren't quite good enough for CSGO. You know, CSGO needs 60 FPS at least. So, should you buy a 10-year-old laptop to game on? Well, not the Dell Studio, because the Dell Studio, I found one Dell Studio on eBay, on US eBay, and it was, you know, a rip-off. It was 140 bucks for it. So, that definitely isn't worth it for a 10-year-old laptop. If you want to try and find a cheap budget gaming solution, it would probably be best to just buy an old PC from maybe a similar time, and then you can, you know, put a Core 2 quad in there. You can put like a GT 1030 graphics card in there. You know, that would be a much better idea, money wise. So that basically concludes this video, guys. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.